Thank you for that special music. The older I get, the more emotional I get. Not a bad thing. Lets me know I'm still alive. I'm glad I can still feel. In this world today that's not a lot of feeling. Do what is right in the Lord's sight. Ecclesiastes 12:13-14, our camp theme, says, "Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep His commandments. For this is the whole duty of man. For God will bring every work into judgment, including every secret thing, whether it is good or whether it is evil." Well, today, I want to go over King Josiah's life. So if you please turn to 2 Chronicles. Chapter 33 was where we're going to start with his grandpa. His grandpa was Manasseh. I want to give you a little background on where King Josiah came from. So we're going to start there in verse 1. It says, Manasseh was 12 years old when he became king, and he reigned 55 years in Jerusalem. So he was a king over Judah. And he was one of the worst kings in Judah's history ever. You can find that. Let's look in 2 Chronicles 33:9. So Manasseh seduced Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem to do more evil than the nations whom the Lord had destroyed before the children of Israel. So he sent Judah into so much evil and destruction that they were worse than the nations that were there before them. You know what happens when that happens? God comes and destroys you because He's not a fan of evil. He reigned 55 years, became king when he was 12, did more evil than anybody else. And God allowed the Assyrians to come in. Let's find that. Where are we going to find that? Verse 10 of chapter 33. And the Lord spoke to Manasseh and his people, but they would not listen. So God warned them. That's how it works, right? You get warned. And then what happens? You get corrected. Therefore the Lord brought upon them the captains of the army of the king of Assyria. He took Manasseh with hooks, bound him with bronze fetters, and carried him off to Babylon. Now, we read right through that. Mr. Fritz always talks about this. You read right through it. It's just a verse in the Bible. But I was curious. What does that mean? They took Manasseh with hooks and bound him with bronze feathers and carried him off to Babylon. Now, that's not a short trip. I should have looked it up. I didn't look it up. I thought about it on the walk up here from my apartment to up here. But it's more than 15 miles from Judah to Babylon. And Mr. Scarborough, if you can put this up on the screen. That is a man who has hooks and feathers on that's going to walk. Now, I thought, so he changes. I bet this was the first humbling thing that he had done in his life. And you know, we're going to be kings. You can take it down. We're going to be kings and priests. And we're probably as spoiled as Manasseh was. You know, in the kitchen, I get to hear lots of fun stuff. We're out of coffee the instant it happens. Where's the small stir sticks? Hey, we need sugar. Hey, why don't we have this? I need lots of something. The salad's out. The olives are gone. We need more of this. Manasseh was a king. We live like kings, and we expect things to be done probably the way Manasseh did. Can you imagine being led away with a nose hook and a chain attached to it and having to walk over 15 miles, somebody pulling on you? That would be a humbling experience. It was so humbling to Manasseh that he repents. You can find that in verse 12. Now when he was in affliction, he implored the Lord his God and humbled himself greatly before the God of his fathers and prayed to him. And he received his entreaty, heard his supplication, and brought him back to Jerusalem into his kingdom. Then Manasseh knew that the Lord was God. I would like to know how that happened. How do you take a king out of a country and then say, oh yeah, you can go back to this country and be king again? Obviously, God's hand was in it. That doesn't just happen when you take over a city or a country like Judah, the way Babylon did. And so, what did Josiah's grandfather do at that point? After this, he built a wall outside the city of David on the west side of Gihon in the valley, as far as the entrance of the fish gate, and it enclosed Ophel, and he raised it to a very great height. Then he put military captains in all the fortified cities of Judah. He took away the foreign gods and the idols from the house of the Lord, and all the altars that he had built in the mount of the house of the Lord and in Jerusalem, and he cast them out of the city. In verse 16, he also repaired the altar of the Lord, sacrificed peace offerings and thank offerings on it, and commanded Judah to serve the Lord God of Israel. Wow, a complete change from what he had been doing. So I don't know, I haven't calculated if he was born at this point in time. Josiah was really young. He probably wouldn't have been affected by his grandfather, but his grandfather had started to make some changes in Judah. And then he dies, and then his father, Ammon, is king at 22 years old. Now, if you do the math here, in verse 21, Ammon was 22 years old when he became king, and he reigned for 2 years. That makes him 24. And he died. And Josiah was made king when he was 8. So Ammon was 16 when he had Josiah. Do we have any 16-year-olds? Imagine having a kid. Well, that's who Josiah was being raised by. 16-year-old dad. And then he died. So he had to deal with the death of his father. And then he became king. So do we have any 8-year-olds? Anybody close to 8? Like really close, like within a month or 2. Okay, can you come up, please? Come on up. Come on up here. Go on. There's another one. Come on up. Come on up. Stand right there. Yep. Perfect. All right. 8-year-olds. They are now over king. They are now king or queen over Judah. Here we go. You are a king or a queen over Judah. Just stand there for just 1 second. Let me see. We got it right? I got some animals on there instead of the Burger King logo. So these are your kings. Give them a round of applause. You guys can sit down. Kings and queens. You can go ahead and sit down. So he was 8 years old when he became king, and he reigned for 31 years. That puts him at 39 when he died. It's not very old. It's not very old. It's older than me, but it's barely. So, he had just seen his father murdered. And then we get to the next stage in Josiah's development. It says in verse 2, he did what was right in the Lord's sight and walked in the ways of his father David. He did not turn aside to the right hand or to the left. He wasn't on the right and he wasn't on the left. He followed the path. For in the 8th year of his reign, while he was still young, he began to seek God, the God of his father David. So in the 8th year of his reign, he began to seek the God of his father David. Do we have 16-year-olds in here? How many raise their hand? Can you come up, please? At this point in Josiah's life, right here, he began to seek the God of his father David. How did he do that? We find out later that the book of the law, he didn't even have the book of the law. How did he know to do that? We'll get into that. Okay, for 16-year-olds, this is a compass. This is going to symbolize for you guys the path that you're going to take. The straight and narrow path. And on the back are scriptures. For this one says, "For with God nothing shall be impossible." Luke 1:37. So, please go ahead and pick one of those once you grab your compass to direct and guide your path. You can sit down. Go ahead and give them a round of applause. So King Josiah's path has been set. He's deciding he's going to obey the God of his father David. And he's walking it. He's taken the path. And it says, in the 12th year he began to purge Judah. And Jerusalem of the high places, the wooden images, the carved images, and the molded images. They broke down the altars of the Baals in his presence, and the incense altars which were above them he cut down, and the wooden images, the carved images, and the molded images he broke in pieces. He made dust of them and scattered it on the graves of those who had sacrificed to them. He also burned the bones of the priests on their altars and cleansed Judah and Jerusalem. And so he did in the cities of Manasseh, Ephraim, Simeon, as far as Naphtali and all around with axes. And when he had broken down the altars and the wooden images, had beaten and carved images into powder, and cut all the incense altars throughout all the land of Israel, he returned to Jerusalem. So this was a campaign. And this wasn't easy. Is it easy to go against what everybody wants to do? It's not. He's tearing down these people's gods and crushing them. And I like that the Bible says he turns them into powder, because that's all they are, is powder. They're nothing. So he did this in his 12th year. You add 8 to that. That gives me 20. We have any 20-year-olds? Please come up. Please come up, Mr. Schroeder. I've got I've got a hammer here that we had engraved. It says Reign 2025. It says tear down the idols in life. So I give you this.
Thank you.
Help you remember to tear down the idols in life. Now don't use it on the campers. So that's great. I was hoping we'd have at least one. You never know. Okay, so let's continue. Let's continue on. So he's 20, okay? He tears down all the idols. And then he comes back to Jerusalem. What's next? What are we going to do next? That's probably what he was thinking. And he was probably planning it in his head. What are we going to do next? In the 18th year of his reign, we got any 26-year-olds? Awesome. Anybody else? Yeah? 2 of you? Okay, just stay seated for a second. In the 18th year of his reign, when he had purged the land and the temple, he sent Shaphan, the son of Azaliah, Messiah, the governor of the city, and Joah, the son of Joaz, the recorder, to repair the house of the Lord his God. So he wanted to repair God's house. And when they came to Hilkiah the high priest, they delivered the money that was brought into the house of God, which the Levites who kept the doors had gathered from the hand of Manasseh and Ephraim. So they collected a bunch of money, they gave it to Hilkiah, and they said, go fix it. Please, go fix it. So that's what they're talking about here. And they went and put in the hand of the foreman who had the oversight of the house of the Lord, and they gave it to the workmen who worked in the house of the Lord to repair and restore the house. They gave it to the craftsmen, the builders, to buy hewn stone and timber for beams, and to the floor and the houses which the kings of Judah had destroyed. The kings of Judah destroyed, not the outside enemy. And the men did the work faithfully. Their overseers were Jotham and Obadiah, the Levites, and the sons of Mira and Zechariah and Meshullam, and the sons of Kohathites to supervise. Others of the Levites, all of whom were skillful with the instruments of music, were over the burden bearers and were overseers of all who did the work in any kind of service. And some of the Levites were scribes, officers, and gatekeepers. Now, when they brought out the money that was brought into the house of the Lord, Hilkiah the priest found the book of the law. They cleaned up, and what did they find? The book of the law, finally. I wonder how long it was missing, that nobody knew about it. At least, I'm going to say 55 years, because King Manasseh didn't have it. So they found the book of the law given by Moses. Now, the 26-year-olds can come up now. Now, who is Hilkiah? Hilkiah was a priest, but who else is he? He was a high priest. Do we know who his son is? Anybody know who Hilkiah's son is? All right. Okay. I didn't realize I'd have 3 26-year-olds. That's okay. So, I figure you all have Bibles, correct? All right. Does anybody have Mystery of the Ages, their own copy? No. Okay. This is Mystery of the Ages. I know it's not the Bible, but it's a very good book to have in your library. It'll help you. It helps explain the Bible, a lot of the mysteries of the Bible. And so I wanted to get that for you. I'll give this to you. Mr. Scarborough, I will get you a copy. I'll get your address later, okay? Give him a round of applause. Okay, so Hilkiah. Turn to Jeremiah. turn to Jeremiah 1:1. I'm glad nobody knew. We're going to learn something today. The words of Jeremiah, the son of Hilkiah, of the priests who were in Anath, in the land of Benjamin, to whom the word of the Lord came in the days of Josiah, the son of Ammon, king of Judah, in the 19th year of his reign. Okay, Hilkiah was Jeremiah's dad. And if you do the math, Josiah was 21 at this time when Jeremiah started prophesying. And I believe tradition says Jeremiah was 17 when he began to prophesy. So they're only about 4 years apart. So I imagine they probably grew up together. You know, Josiah was royalty and Hilkiah was the high priest. It helps explain a lot that if they did grow up together, I could see Hilkiah teaching Josiah a lot of things. There's actually an article in the HWA library that you can look up, and it talks about this very subject. So Josiah decided to clean the temple. He was going to clean and repair God's house. I have no more gifts to give anybody. So, let's turn to 1 Corinthians 3 and verse 16. 1 Corinthians 3 and verse 16. You know, they cleansed out the temple and they found the book of the law. Where is that temple today? Verse 16 of 1 Corinthians 3 says, "Do you not know that you are the temple of God and that the Spirit of God dwells in you?" For all those that are baptized, that is especially true for those who have parents that are teaching you and you have God's Spirit with you. It might not be in you, but it is with you, working with you, helping you make decisions, helping you to understand what we're exactly talking about today. You have it. Just like King Josiah had God's Spirit with him. It wasn't in him. But if he was following God, it was with him. It had to be. You want to walk with God and have God walk with you. Turn to 2 Corinthians 6:16. 2 Corinthians 6:16. And what agreement has the temple of God with idols? For you are the temple of the living God. As God has said, I will dwell in them and walk among them. I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Fear God and keep His commandments. Josiah cleansed a physical temple, tore down idols. You know, the temple today is in us. We need to cleanse that temple, tear down the idols in our life. And, you know, Mr. Munson, he explained on his opening message about the commandments that we need to follow. He talked about the Sabbath and the holy days and the unclean and clean meats. And those are commands in the Bible. Very easy, spelled out commands to follow. And we as kids, I grew up in the church, and you get tested probably every week of your life in one way or another about the Sabbath, about clean and unclean meats, about the holy days, especially when the holy days come around. It always seemed like there was a choir concert or some activity that I really wanted to do that was on a holy day. It never failed. And you'd have to tell somebody, I'm not going to be able to be there. And so that's a test. Whether you think it is or it isn't, that is you making a choice to live God's way of life. You're choosing that. And then Mr. Fritz talked about using God's law. You know, he had the glasses up here to cleanse the glass. We got to use God's law to make sure things are clean. And today, I want to go through what I would call kind of the next step. And it's, to me, at least hearing those messages, this feels like just the progression and continuation for your guys' development. Thought exercise. You know, it's not always clear-cut in the Bible and command of what to do. But God definitely lets you know what pleases Him and what doesn't please Him. So, how do we apply God's law to our everyday life? That's what we're going to do, kind of like a meditation thought exercise. So I'm going to ask a question. How many of you should we do something after high school, or is it okay to not contribute to society? Apologize. Should we do something after high school, or should we live with our parents and not contribute to society? Anybody? Raise your hand. What do you think?
Contribute to society.
Contribute to society. Okay? Why?
Because it's better for everyone.
It's better for everyone. That's right. It's better for everyone. Why should we get a job then? What's the purpose of a job? Sophia? To make money. Yeah? To provide for your family. Very good. So is that a godly thing to do?
Yes.
To get a job and provide for your family? Yes. Do you think God would be pleased with that? Yes. God would be pleased with that. And you can find that. If you don't eat, you don't work, you don't eat. That's in Proverbs. Turn to Luke 14:28. You want to have a family? That means you're going to have to get married, right? Probably going to want to have kids. Maybe not. But God did say be fruitful and multiply. So you probably would want to have kids. Luke 14:28 says, "For which of you intending to build a tower does not sit down first and count the cost, whether he has enough to finish it?" Having a family requires certain things ahead of time, doesn't it? You need to have a job. You need to be mature enough to take care of other people. Ladies need to be able to help whoever they would want to marry. All that's important. Is the money the most important thing? How much you make, is that the most important thing? No. Who's going to really take care of all of us? Yes? God. That's right. Let's turn to 1 Timothy 5:8. 1 Timothy 5 and verse 8. But if anyone does not provide for his own, and especially for those of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. Wow. That's pretty serious. So I am very happy that you all want to contribute to society and provide for your family. That's a good, godly thing to do. That's one of those wigs Mr. Wolford was talking about a month ago, if you can remember that sermonette. So let's do one more thought exercise. It's along the same lines. Here's the situation, okay? This is years down the road for you guys. And parents, I'm sure you want it to be even further down the road. Husband and wife, you've been married for 1 or 2 years. Both of them have been working, saving, paying bills, paying off debt. And now a baby, a wonderful, awesome blessing, is on the way from God. And you've started the discussions. The baby hasn't been born yet, and you've started the discussions about what they're going to do when the baby arrives. How are things going to work? And first and foremost, looking to do the godly thing. Not what society does, but looking to do the godly thing. What would be the godly thing to do? Yes, ma'am. Lead by example. For your child? Yes. Yes, ma'am. That's right. Teach the child the ways of the Lord. And how would that be accomplished? You want to teach the child, ladies, men, how would that be accomplished? Yes.
By reading them the Bible.
Reading them the Bible, that's right. Who's going to stay home with the baby? Maybe that's the question I want to ask. God. Okay. I like it. Yes, ma'am. Mom? Okay. Very good. Is that biblical?
Yes.
Yeah? Are you sure? No, you're right. It is biblical. Of course it is. The society wants to tell you that's not biblical. When I gave this at my home, my daughter put her head down because she was worried everybody in here wouldn't like what I had to say. Because she goes to a public school, and you get influenced by those that are in a public school. But not everybody thinks that way. Yes, the baby's a wonderful blessing, and mom should stay home to take care of it. And this probably upsets people in the world. You know, I did do some studying on this statistic. Only 28% of mothers with newborns stay home. That's it. Other than that, they have somebody else raise their baby. And the first 4 years of life is the development of that child's personality, development of that child's empathy, how they're going to feel towards other people. And if we want them to obey God, and we want them to follow God's way of life and have care and kindness for others, you know, we want to have them, our mothers, at home. Let's turn to Titus 2. Titus 2. These are just a couple scriptures for this. Titus 2. It's after 2 Timothy. Titus 2, 3 through 5. The older women likewise, that they be reverent in behavior, not slanderers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things, that they admonish the young women to love their husbands and to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, homemakers, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of God may not be blasphemed. And 1 Timothy 5:8. 1 Timothy 5:8. Again, this is for the man and the woman, but mainly the man. But if anyone does not provide for his own, and especially for those of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. Society says women should be doing what a man does, right? And men should be doing what a woman does. Men become stay-at-home dads, and moms become superwomen because they work and have men at home to do the housework. Now, you might not have experienced talking to somebody or come across anybody like that, but that's the way it is in the world. Exactly. That's not the way we should be. So, I want to give you a story about this situation in my wife and I's life when we had our first kid. We had been married for about 4 years, and we had probably $100,000 in debt when we were married, and we were working to pay it off. I graduated college, she graduated college. She had a job, she was making about $100,000 to $150,000 a year. I had a job, I was making about $45,000 a year. And we were working to pay the bills off. We were building a house that was about an hour away from where we worked. So once she got pregnant, we were still building the house. I was getting up about 5:30, working from 6 to 3 at my regular job, driving an hour, working till dark, get home about 11 or 12, and start that all over. I was doing that for 9 months. I got laid off, and it was 2008, the recession. So 2008, I was laid off and collecting unemployment, and she was still working. She was working in medical, so it was a good profession, and continued. And I was still building the house full time then. And so she was 9 months pregnant. And we had talked about this. Like, maybe you should go back to work if I can't find a job. But we didn't. We said, no, you're going to stay home, and God will take care of it. Something will work out. Well, about probably 3 weeks before she actually, you were born in February, so probably December before she was born, I got a job that was 3 hours away from home as a contract worker. And so I was staying there during the week, and I'd drive home on the weekends. And I didn't think I'd get emotional. And she was there working. I'd come home on weekends. Okay. So the day before she had the baby, I interviewed for a job that was an hour drive away. And everything seemed to go well. I didn't know if I'd get it or not. I still had probably 3 weeks left on my contract and still looking for a job. And so I drive back after my interview 3 hours away, and the next probably 4 hours later, once I got back, I think it was like 11 o'clock at night, I'd just gotten back to the apartment, and she called and said, hey, my water broke, I'm in labor. So I drive all the way back to the hospital, Baby's born. That's great. I love you. And I get a call a week later that I got a job. Awesome, right? It was like $42,000 a year. So we're going to go from $150,000 to a $42,000 a year job. And we did it. And I don't regret any of it. I don't even think at the time I thought about that until I was preparing this and realized like the situation I was actually in. Because you just, when you grow up learning this way of life, you know God will take care of it. And if there's anything I can get through to you guys today, don't give up. Do what's right in the Lord's sight. And He will take care of you. He will take care of you. Turn to, let's see, Matthew 6. Matthew 6. Verse 25. It says, "Therefore I say to you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, nor about your body, what you will put on. Is not life more than food, and body more than clothing?" So, if you don't have to worry about that, you don't have to pay for it, do you? I have 5 kids. I bet I haven't spent $1,000 on clothes. And my oldest is 14. And I'm not kidding. There are some kind people. You can find some thrift shops. This is real. You put God to the test and He'll pass every single time. Do not worry about the things and the cares of this world. You know, King Josiah was 8 years old when he became king, and 16 when he decided to do what was right in the Lord's sight. Now, young men and women, you don't have to be old to make a difference in your life and the life of those around you. King Josiah began leading when he was 8. He was given a crown when he started. We will be given a crown when we finish. So what's the whole matter? What's the whole matter? Fear God and keep His commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. God will bring every work into judgment, every decision, whether it's in open or in secret. I'll leave you with this. It was talked about already by Mr. Fritz. And it's what I always tell my kids at the end of most lectures that they get. Choose life, that it may be well with you always. So I say to you again, choose life.
For more information, go to our website at cogassembly.org. Copyright 2025, Church of God Assembly. All rights reserved.